You're listening to the We Are Libertarians podcast network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com.
Hello, my fine people of the internets. How are you this evening? It is Tuesday evening and it's almost the end of July. And I have a very special guest for you tonight, so I would love for you to join. I'm going to tag Carey Wedler because she's my guest. So I'm going down through there, doing a little housekeeping. I apologize. Anyways, I think I have done so. She is watching. Oh my goodness. Now we had a little bit of technical failure already, but this will get edited out. So my tripod has fallen. No problem. All good. Hi, Carey. So what you want to do is hit that request join button. It's all cool with the technical bumps. We'll edit that out of the podcast. But for right now, we are live, people, on Facebook. So there's a green button, Carey, or a request join. Anyways, while we are doing this, as of the last couple weeks, I have been privileged enough to be on the We Are Libertarians podcast network. So some of this audio will go up there. And so I'm going to give a good introduction to that. This is my show, Gingerarchy. Most of you know me from social media, which is kind of where I came up. You can follow me at Facebook, Tricia Stewart, or you can find me at the page I just started not too long ago, Gingerarchy, which is where I'll put all the video archives, and there's a lot coming. So please join that. If you go to wearelibertarians.com, there's a lot of really cool shows. It's an awesome network if you're looking for some new podcasts to listen to. But subscribe to Gingerarchy, please. Anyways, here's Carey Wedler. She should show up soon. Hi, Carey. Hi, Carey.
Hi.
Hi. We've got some noise. I'm going to take this down. It's fine. It'll get edited later.
Okay,
now,
cool.
We're
Let me know if I'm making noise because I'm in LA and I have my air on, but I can turn it off if it's like inconvenient.
Hear the air.
Okay, I'll be right back. I'll sweat it out for you. Yeah, I'll be right back. Hold on.
All right, cool. So I have Carey Wedler on. I've got an outline for her, but if you have any questions that you want to drop in the comments, it would be super cool. I've been kind of following her for a while, so I think this should be a good interview. So here's Ms. Wedler. Hello, lady. How are you?
Hello. Thanks for having me on.
I look very orange compared to you.
I think that's a good thing.
Where are you in California right now?
I'm in Los Angeles, so I'm born and raised in LA.
Okay.
A native. It's rare. We're weird.
Yeah, no, I think that's actually pretty cool. So for all of my Facebook fans, and then for anybody who's going to listen to this later on the podcast, Carey has an interesting story of a come to liberty moment, I guess. Would you say that you used to be a liberal?
Hardcore, yeah. Mainstream, typical talking points. Meant well, obviously, but had a very small worldview.
I came from the neocon side, and so I kind of really appreciate that whole viewpoint of coming over from liberalism, because I definitely think libertarianism and that liberty movement, it strikes a true chord with most people that seek truth. And so I want to talk a little bit about your bio, but then kind of go into your liberty story. We'll drop some stuff later. So cool. You are the editor-in-chief for Anti-Media.
At this point, unfortunately, it is title only because, as I'm sure a lot of people on your page know, Anti-Media was taken down back in October off Facebook, and we have not had original content since then. So we're still a news aggregator. So we're, publishing articles from around independent media, but currently nobody else is editor-in-chief. I'm still editor-in-chief, but I'm just not editing any content.
Okay. So I know that sucks. I know about that big censorship back in October, which really hit me hard. I had a lot of good friends that were hit, and it's very scary to me. So we'll go back to that. But now, so little Carey is born in Los Angeles. Were you born like a liberty chick? Maybe I would consider you a voluntarist from the videos I've seen. Okay, I am as well. So were you born that way? And if you weren't, how did you come to it?
It's funny because if you talk to anarchists, most of them will say, like, I always knew that it was bullshit. I didn't.
I didn't either. No, I didn't at all.
Yeah, I loved being obedient. So my mom didn't send me to preschool. So she kind of unschooled me, not like actively planning to. That was just her approach before I got into public school. But when I started kindergarten, I got this authority fetish. Like, it was not that I wanted to be an authority, but it was like, oh, if I can please the masters, if I make the teacher happy, if I follow the rules. And that gave me a lot of validation. So I was never one to question. I was never one to think like, maybe this school factory is not, giving me the best foundation for living a free life. That did not occur to me. So it wasn't until 2011, I had already voted for Obama once, and I didn't have much direction in life. I was interning at a film studio out here, and I was a script reader. And in between scripts, I just felt kind of dumb. So I had grown up thinking, I care about these things. I'd always been anti-war. I thought, let's say maybe I was like a principled progressive, And I know people they don't have principles,
no,
but
that's
within
cool,
there,
actually, there are a few, yeah, for sure.
Right. So within that worldview, whatever, I think I was principled, but I was just so woefully uninformed about Obama that when I'd be in this film studio, I'd finish reading my scripts, and a lot of them were about cops and CIA agents, and that already kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I just had no underlying philosophy. So I started paying attention to the news. I realized Obama was a big con. That same summer, I was introduced to Ron Paul, and it just all went from there. Never looked back.
That's awesome. So yeah, you were, some people might have known you as an Obama girl, which you just self-described. And I think that can be dismissed a little bit from right. And I came from the far right. Obviously, I'm an anarchist now. But I would say that some of the diagnosis of the problems in 2008 weren't bad. And I think people identified with, here's what's going on wrong, and probably clung to it. Now, you went further because obviously you're a person that seeks out ultimate truth. Have you met a lot of liberals that have come over that way?
There are some in California. Obviously, we're not the majority, duh. But there are people who are open to it. And I find that when you talk about these things to them and you just don't label it, and you don't say anarchism, you don't say libertarian especially. I feel like people out here are less afraid of anarchism than they are libertarians. So I find it, if you talk about the issues and you connect with them and you can establish hey, we have the same goals, maybe there's some information that could help you consider different solutions. There is potential here. There are a lot of people here who are open to it. And then there's also the militant side. So the yoga community, for example, I'm not a big part of the yoga community. I used to be more before the 2016 election, but that's sort of what happened is there were people who were really conscious of what was really going on. And then there were people who were yeah, Hillary Clinton, she cares about women, which is really hard to reconcile for me with yogic philosophy and libertarian philosophy, because to me, they actually are not contradictory. They have a lot in common and a lot of shared values, but that just, the statism just, eviscerates any chance of people sticking to the principles. So they mean well again, but yeah, there's a lot of potential. There's also a lot of really big frustrations out here.
I would imagine, but I think it was, I can't remember who said it, but I would enjoy my statism with nice warm weather and really good food. So I don't blame you. Although I live in Northeast Ohio, which is probably polar opposite of you. But I mean, I won't probably be here forever. So you had this kind of progression of you were a seeker and you realized that somebody had duped you, and then you come over to this Ron Paul thing. How do you come from that to anarchism or voluntarism?
Sure. It's actually quite a simple answer, because I was big on Ron Paul. At that point, I was like, yeah, the Constitution. At one point, I thought I had wanted to be a constitutional lawyer, so I cared about these things. I was just a little misguided, and found Ron Paul, was super excited. But then, if any of you were around for the 2012 Republican primary, you know what happened. And I have this, I don't know if you want to do it, but I have this really vivid memory. I was at Ron Paul headquarters out here in Venice, California, Venice Beach, and there was a recount in Maine between Romney and Ron Paul. And we were watching CNN. We're like, yeah, we're going to get a chance. This is the turning point. We're going to find out that Ron Paul won. And I sat there for 4 hours. It was the same weekend of Whitney Houston's funeral. And I remember this so vividly. I had so much faith that the media was going to cover it because it was a recount. Why would they not cover this? This was national news. This isn't a major presidential primary. And I just watched them play the same loop of the pallbearers at the funeral with pictures of Whitney throughout her life. And there was this little scrolling marquee that mentioned that there is a recount. And that was the first time where I was like, I don't think this system is fair. I just thought that if the TV said it, it was true. And if it was an election, it was legitimate. And so it was that one moment, but it was really just the bigger experience of seeing how he was treated and realizing nobody who could really make a difference is ever going to get power. And that's when the anarchism started. So,
right.
Yeah.
No, and I would kind of agree with you in that thread too. A lot of people dismiss people that are maybe put their faith a little bit in a politician or just new to liberty, or I think that's okay for them to think that. You don't need to push anarchism so hard. It's going to happen naturally.
Exactly.
In my opinion. So then you do all this and you decide to go on YouTube. And this has kind of skyrocketed you to a little bit of internet stardom. So tell me how that started. Hey, Carey. Girl, you don't even know. Like, I get some creepy DMs, but whatever. Well, people love you. They love you.
Oh,
so
thank you.
I had some really nice ones too. Oh, she's great. I love her videos. I'm so glad you're having her on. So that was the majority.
Very good to know. And I find that's the case. Usually most people are really cool. It's just some outliers.
Yeah, the lower 10% tend to speak louder than the upper 90%.
For sure.
But so you started doing like using social media and YouTube to put videos out there. What catapulted that, or what do you, where did that come from?
Yeah, well, I started with Ron Paul videos. My very first few videos are just like, I found Ron Paul and I used to love Obama, and look at this guy and he's principled and he's anti-war and he respects the Constitution. So that's how I started. But I mean, honestly, speaking of public school, as I mentioned in the beginning, I loved the whole authority thing and the validation, but I was very shy. I was not the kind of child who wanted to speak up in class. Like, I didn't like being called on. It gave me horrible anxiety. And so there were numerous occasions in public school where I would work it out with the teacher that I could do a video project. Like, I was like, I cannot go in front of the class, please. Like, please give me an out here. So I would just like make little videos myself. So I guess like the inclination was already there. And then I started with the Ron Paul videos, kind of went off the map after he got screwed. And then I decided I wanted to make consistent content. So it was 2013, I think, that fall that I started making videos, and you know, that weren't just Ron Paul campaign focused. And then it went from there, and the Obama video was it. I had no idea what would happen with it. I just thought, like, that would be cool to blowtorch my shirt. It's a real shirt. I have a blowtorch. So
and it went viral. So what were your thoughts when it did?
I did not believe it, but I remember thinking as I was writing the video out and as I was getting ready to film it, I was like, this video is going to get 20,000 views. Oh my gosh, this is going to be huge. It's going to be so exciting. And at that point, you know, like 3,000 views was a lot, which is funny because that's the views I get now with all the algorithm stuff and like the whole Trump's America. Like, it's just a totally different spot. But back then, oh my gosh, 20,000 views was like, I was convinced. I was so sure. And I was all like filming. I was like, yeah, people are going to watch this. And then I don't even know what happened. I like it got stuck, you know, like when something's getting a lot of views, the views will get stuck and then the likes will go up, and the likes kept going up. And, you know, I'm watching compulsively because I'm like, oh, this is a video and I'm wearing shorts in it and there's fire. Like, what's going to happen? You know, like I wanted to know. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. Obviously I cared. And it just, by the time it refreshed at the end of the night, it was like more videos or more views than I had ever gotten. And then I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but some like neocons got a hold of it, and it was like Alan West shared it. And it was a couple days after I posted it. That was like the Colonel. Yeah, exactly. And I was like, who's this guy? I don't know how it says. And I looked at his stuff and I was like, whoa, okay, I think you missed the point of the video, but thank you for sharing. Yeah. And it went from there. It just kept getting weirder and weirder.
That's actually pretty funny, because I would assume like, I remember back in the early Obama days, because I was a neocon then. I just started to get awakened after his election, which actually helped me. But I could imagine a lot of neocons have taken advantage of you being kind of anti-establishment and taking that as being anti-democrat. Do you have any specific moments where you're like, no, dude, or you get an email or any comment like that?
Yeah, you know, I think I have thinned the herd on that end. So I got a lot of followers from that video, obviously. And then I had a short little stint making videos for Dinesh D'Souza, which, if you guys are aware of who that is, I made two videos. Yeah, I didn't know who he was. And I have nothing. I'm not going to say anything about him outside of the fact that he didn't censor me. That was our deal.
Yeah, he was like, there's some cool stuff by him. I disagree with a lot of his stuff, but he's a pretty cool dude. Yeah. And I did not make as many videos as we had intended, because I think I realized like maybe this audience is not really going to hear me. But I thought it was a great opportunity, and he was very kind to me. And it was like, I could say whatever I wanted. His audience might not like it, but I was allowed to say it. That's pretty cool.
It was pretty cool, but it was that experience. So getting a lot of his followers on my page, and between that and my Obama video, you know, and I am anti-Democrat, sure, but I'm also anti-Republican, or let's just say pro-peace and pro-freedom, and those things contradict my values. So there's this one guy though, and I think he had been a fan and eventually got fed up with me criticizing police. And so there's a page, it's called Carey Wedler is Best Girl Fan Club. And he's like still mad at me, but it's a fan club page, but it's actually like the whole point is just to troll me. So like the profile picture is like me, but like there's a little mustache drawn on with like red eyes, like, and it's
you know
funny.
what? That's a compliment.
Yeah.
Like the more people that have so much time to devote to you in their lives, then
Exactly.
you're doing something that scares them, and that's a good thing.
I
Yeah.
like to think so. Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. If you guys want to check it out, feel free to go leave some comments for him.
Don't like it though, and rate it at 0 stars.
No, but then it looks like I have 0 stars because it's Carey Wedler is
Okay,
Best
give her
Girl
5.
Fan Club. Give it 5.
Give it 5 stars, people. You heard it here first. I look so orange tonight. I think.
And I feel like I look so pale and gray because you look so
know.
colorful. You're
we're
so
like
vivid.
fire and ice of liberty right now.
Seriously. I like it.
So I wanted to talk to you. I said maybe we talk about the police state or whatever, and I know you're pretty well versed, being published and knowing being anti-media, anti-war. But so I thought instead of just talking about the police, which is probably one of the things that I work locally on the ground for the most, I would ask you, starting with the most important, second most important, and third most important, name the 3 things that are the biggest threat to liberty in the world today, 3 being the most important. First one.
Well, the answer I want to give, I feel, is like kind of cheating because I just want to say statism, but I feel like that everything is statism. So general disclaimer, statism. But the first one for me, I've always been an anti-war activist, or well, not an activist, but I've always been anti-war. I've always been pro-peace. And I think that that's still the biggest issue because so much can be traced back to it, the debt that we're dealing with, the inflation of currency, all of the things we need to fund the warfare state, not to mention all the violations of the Constitution, which, not for me. I'm a Lysander Spooner type of gal, but I think that it's a useful means.
Babe.
Yeah. But I think it is, if we're going to talk about freedom, the Constitution is a good avenue to do that with people who aren't there yet.
It's a useful tool. It's a
right,
useful tool.
exactly. So I think in terms of constitutional violations, the war coming home, and you want to talk about like police, like sure, the militarization, which is a result of all this excess war machinery. So war would be the first one, not to mention, obviously, the loss of innocent life. Like that's a big threat. Getting killed by governments is, not ideal. So that's the first one. I think second, I'm not sure, I might think about it later and change my answers, but off the top of my head, education, because that plays such a foundational role in people's willingness to acquiesce, right? Like if you look at my statism and how I was bred into it, it wasn't just my family. Like sure, I'm from LA, but it was I don't want to say cradle, but kindergarten to senior year, it's not just that you're learning the state's propaganda, but you're also learning the behaviors. It's like, okay, you raise your hand to go to the bathroom. Okay, you have to ask permission to eat food. You have an assigned seat. So you're sort of getting primed and marinated in this obedience and this authoritarianism, which I didn't realize until much, much later. But I really think that education is a big part of it. And I'm sure a lot of your audience is familiar with the Prussian model, and I have a lot of thoughts on that. I don't think it's as sinister and black and white as a lot of people like to make it out to be, but it's a big part of it. Yeah. The nationalism, it's a big deal. So let's see, we have the warfare state, we have education, and
What's number 3?
Economics, honestly, because I was not the best at economics. I did not understand public school economics. The class was surprisingly not very well taught, and there was not a lot of great information in it. But I mean, did we talk about the Federal Reserve at all? Probably not. And I don't remember learning about that in history, but economics, mostly because again, I guess to bring it back to education, we are steeped in this Keynesian philosophy. We're just taught that that's how it works. We don't know the most basic things about economics. I'm saying we because me too. Like I only started learning
public school. I went to public school as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't start learning economics. I mean, I obviously intuitively understood once I started understanding the philosophy of non-aggression and freedom and spontaneous order and all of that. But so I now edit for FEE, the Foundation for Economic Education. Yeah. So I've gotten this huge economics education through this organization. And it's been so eye-opening that I really understand now, like that's really important stuff to know, because if you look at all these solutions, they're running counter to everything that we believe to be sound economics. So if we can get to the root of the problems instead of just falling for the Bernie Sanders AOC narrative, I don't want to say they're being insincere. Like for all I know, they genuinely believe that that's the answer. I think the intentions are good, but if we really want to reach people, we have to address their concerns. And a lot of those are economic at this point.
I think that's an excellent point. I would say probably AOC is actually more genuinely concerned than Bernie Sanders.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's been around long enough and has amassed enough wealth and sought power enough that he knows better now.
Yeah.
But I would say some of his diagnosis, especially like in the last election, was pretty good. So hopefully that will bring people over to thinking about, where the problem lies. I think economics is hard to sell. It's not sexy.
Not at all.
So you're working for fee now. Now you have the distinct notation of being a female in the liberty movement, which I know myself. You have much bigger reach.
Not anymore, girl.
Oh yeah, I know that sucks. So that one day I'll get zucked for some reason. I have reach now, but it'll get
It's coming for all of us. Sorry, yes. I'm so hot. Just so you guys know, I'm like dripping sweat here. I just thought I should share.
You heard it on Gentrarchy. Carey Wedler's hot on my show. Has she been hot on your show? No.
Anyway, have I? No, not like this. Never before. Okay, go on. Yeah, it's going all the way up.
Okay. What were we talking about?
Sorry to interrupt. I had to say, I have had some reach, and then I interrupted you to say, no, I don't, but I have in the past. That's where you were going. I had reach.
Yes. So economics is really difficult to bring to a broader audience, and I think maybe there's you have a really good reach with social media, especially YouTube and those kind of followings. What's your like recipe for reaching people? How do you try to do it?
Good question. So in the past, in my experience, what I've learned is the things that I did that would get a lot of reach. One, were troll titles. Come on, like, let's be real. But I love doing that. Like I had one called, it's like gun nuts. Your Second Amendment is outdated. And it's actually like a debunk of that narrative. But I got all the gun people clicking on it because they saw some girl to be mad at, like, oh, it's not liberal, it wants more guns. And then they click. So things like that, and the title is accurate. I've always been very good about that. Like I don't just make up things that aren't real and put them in the title. It's just you kind of have to click and watch the video to get why I called it that. But more importantly than that, I found that people just want to share something that expresses how they feel. Like maybe not everybody wants to make a video talking about their issues, about what they care about, and I don't blame them because there's a lot of times where I'm like, can I do this anymore? I don't know if I have it in me, but I find that when you can say something, clearly and, in just a way that resonates with people, then people want to share, or that's shocking because obviously that Obama video was shocking and there was fire in the thumbnail and there was a girl in white shorts, I own that. Like I didn't do it on purpose thinking like, let me get some clicks, but like, the thumbnail matters, which I learned from that video.
I think that's smart. As long as you're bringing a good message, I think that's something that libertarians are really bad at. And I think we need better people at that, is to get people to notice us and then they'll listen to the message. No, I mean, there is a place for talking heads. We have plenty of them. Okay. Nobody's clicking on that being like, oh my God, look at this debate between Austrian economics and Chicago economics. I'm clicking that in a hot minute. No, that's not happening. So we need the masses. We need people to get interested in something different. I think that's actually really brilliant, and it actually leads people down the path to eventually study those other things that the talking heads are talking about. So I think that's awesome. So what did it feel like? Do you ever get recognized now that you're like a YouTube lady?
I've been recognized no more than 10 times in my life, but there's this one time, and this is the funniest. I was on a whale watch with my family.
Okay. Well, Carey, what the fuck?
Well, I'm like with my dad and sister, and I'm like walking across the boat to get a drink, and this guy's like, Carey? And I was like, I think this might have been the first time I ever was recognized. He didn't recognize my face. He recognized my voice, which is funny because people really don't like my voice. And believe me, I'm with you. I get it. But like, it's just that Valley girl accent, I guess. And I can be loud. So it was just he was like, I knew that voice. I knew it was you. It was like some older guy on a whale watch. But yeah, I'm not getting it's like I can leave the house without being recognized. Nobody knows who I am, which is very nice, But every once in a while, it's weird.
I think you posted something a while back because I think we had become Facebook friends. And I kind of knew about you, but I started following you a little bit, especially after that whole censorship happened in October. But you mentioned something about the Valley Girl voice, and I get all the time that I sound like I'm from Minnesota. And then I use so many filler words. Like my interviews are rough. They're rough. But I just think, okay, well, you get up on the mic and talk. And there's about 20,000 libertarian podcasters that do that.
Yeah.
And it's very yawn worthy. So whatever.
Right. Exactly.
That's pretty funny. Okay. So we're talking about the 3 areas of the state that suck. And we're going to go back to that. But I know you're going to be working for fee tonight. So I'm going to go to a little thing I do here on Ginger Argy. And I haven't done it in a while because I had like economists on and they're not really into this. We are going to play a game. Carey, are you ready for my game?
I'm so ready.
This is called Pick Your Poison. I'm sure you know, like Cards Against Humanity. And okay. So you have to pick between these 2 options. There is no skirting this. And then you have to give a brief explanation as to why you picked the one that you picked.
Okay.
Okay. I am rated explicit on iTunes. My kids aren't impressed by that. So this might be like really crude, but whatever.
Okay.
It's not really, but okay.
Okay.
Carey Wedler, pick your poison. Would you rather relive your worst day in high school over and over again, or
Oh no.
clog the toilet every time you poop outside your home?
Definitely relive my worst day of high school because that's just
wow. I just asked Carey Wedler about her poop. You got it here, folks.
And I prefer my most traumatizing day of high school, and I did not like high school.
What was it? Expound.
It was so. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm not gonna go into any details, but there was a boy I liked, and I was, still a young girl getting used to my hormones and stuff. And there was a bit of a fiasco on a day when I was supposed to be hanging out with the boy I liked, who was like a couple years older than me. And I didn't.
Cool.
It was quite embarrassing. And it just kept going on. It was like my best friend and I, like at the time, called it Karma Day. Like for anything mean I've ever done, that was my karma. So I'd rather really relive it. So.
Wow. That says a lot about how Carey Wedler feels like about public restrooms. We're going to go to another one. You came on my show. This is all. I can edit it later.
It's fair game.
Okay.
It's fine.
All right. Carey, pick your poison. Would you rather have bed bugs infect your house once a year, or have your mouth permanently taste like you just smoked a cigar?
Okay, well, I really love the smell of cigars, but I've never tasted one. I've never actually smoked one. I had an uncle who loves cigars, and I just love the smell. So am I allowed to ask a question? Is the smell the same as the taste?
Well, I've smoked cigars before.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a butch lesbian, not really, but I think they taste good, but I think that's subjective. It's not like a cigarette. It's more of a sweet taste because it's a real natural plant.
Okay, but we're talking about every single day versus once a year, and you can call someone once a year.
Yeah, I actually know the treatment for bed bugs because I work in the real estate industry, and it's common practice, and they're actually really easily treatable. You heat the room to 130 degrees.
Okay, we're going to bed bugs then, just in case I don't like the taste of cigars. All
right,
I'm going to message you if it ever happens. You're going to have to help me.
Oh, I know. I took like a course in it. I'm good, I don't even know why I went to college. Okay, one more and we'll get back to the seriousness and then let you get to your watching the horribly pathetic Democratic debate. God bless
Can't
you.
wait.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Okay. Carey Wedler, pick your poison. Would you rather be unable to use utensils ever again?
Okay. Oh, no.
Or scrape gum off the street and chew it?
Once?
I suppose.
Is it weird that I'm even asking?
Are you going to chew gum off the street?
No, hold on. What was the first one? Sorry, repeat the first one again.
To never use a utensil again. I'm assuming that when it comes to eating.
Never. See, it's back to that like once versus forever.
Well, what I'm inferring from the cards is never would be till you are deceased, and then
Right.
scrape gum off the street and chew it, I would assume would be a one-time gig.
Yeah, it's a one-time thing. But no utensils. I like soup. Like, what am I gonna, like, how do I eat?
You can't. You have to
Okay.
pick one.
Honestly, I would forgo the utensils because, like, just the thought of the actual, yeah. I'll go with utensils. I can eat finger foods. I'm good.
So that day would have lived in infamy. You couldn't do it. Yeah.
This is the closest one of all the questions, to be honest.
They're good, aren't they? Just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go back to the questions. We got a little bit more time.
Cool.
We just have a lot of engagement, which is awesome.
Yay.
And like I said, you can find that on my Facebook page forever, Ginger Archie. I'll share it there, and then it'll be on the We Libertarians Network, Ginger Archie, on all major platforms. So join us. So your Come to Liberty moment, we talked about that, your 3 scariest positions of the state. So after you discovered what you could do on YouTube and your activism, what is your goal? What's your plan going forward as a liberty activist?
Great question. So it's funny because last week I was just like really not feeling it. Like I was just like, I don't want to make a video. It's also really hot in LA right now, and filming when it's really hot is a pain. So many reasons I'm just like, what am I going to do? And I listened to this. I don't know if you've heard of her. Her name's Tara Brock. She's a meditation teacher Yeah.
I just did. She did the frog meditation. I did it in a circle with my kids.
Oh, how sweet.
Yeah.
I haven't done
awesome.
that. But yeah, you know who she is. She's awesome. She's probably a statist, but like, bless her heart. And I'm sure that if I were to ever try to talk to her, she's amazing. But she has a talk on hope. And so she breaks it down into 3 qualities of hope. So 1 is to have an aspiration. What's the aspiration? 2 is to have faith that it can happen. And 3 is to actually do something to make it happen. And so I'm like lying there. I'm like, why do I even make videos anymore? What's the point? Nobody sees them, just like having a, little baby moment. And
right. We all have those.
And I tried to go deeper, and it's like, yeah, sure. I'd like to reach people. Yeah. I'd like to grow my base, but like what's underneath that? It's not, I want to be famous. It's, I want to see a more peaceful and free world, like that's the core. That's why I started doing this. That's why I was a Obama supporter back then, because I thought that he was going to make that happen. So the goal has always been for me, just like, let's just be nice to people. Like, can we not have so much suffering and violence? And so to that end, something that I'm planning on focusing on more is just more solutions oriented, because it's so easy to call out the problems. And I'm great at it, I can do it with sass. I can do it. I can name all of the violations of the state. I can name the war crimes, and that's important. But something that people want, which we saw I see in comments on my pages. It's like, all you do is complain. And, fine. I don't want to mock people who mock me, but fine. But it's also when we were actively running anti-media, before we redid the site, we had a tab called Solutions. And that was our most clicked tab. Like, people want to hear alternatives. They want to see things that can get better. And so I'm trying to make a little shift. I'm still going to be doing all my calling out the state stuff, but I really want to start highlighting positive developments, and just perpetuating the notion that people aren't inherently evil. There's so much good in the world. There's so many amazing things happening, and it's decentralized. All of these things happening, it's somebody's not planning it. It's not some central bureau making sure that good things are done and innovative solutions are created. No, it's just everybody. It's humanity. And I really want to bring more of that into focus, because that's like what gives me hope too. And I'd like to share that with people.
Well, I really appreciate that, Carey. I kind of feel the same way. Charity is the best when it's local and it's in your heart. And I do think that there's definitely a lack in the liberty movement for people that have compassion. And not that there's not any. Trust me, if you look at Walk the Walk, or I've raised a lot of money for charity before, there are people passionate about it. But what people see is the talking head. So I think it's really important to have somebody like you out there. Obviously, you're a fun person. You're outgoing. You say you're introverted, but you're able to get over that. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. But nobody's one or the other. But if you can reach a large audience for good, regardless if they click you because they're mad at your, something, or they think you're pretty or this and that, if you give them a great message, you're doing a service to the liberty community. And I'm glad that people like you are out there.
Oh, thank you. You too.
It's been a pleasure. So I want you're going to have to answer one more question before we go, but I want you to plug what you're working on, where people can find you. I'll put this on the show notes at Ginger Archie, but if people want to hear more about what Carey's doing, how do they do it?
So you'll just find my name anywhere. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Steemit, I'm on Minds, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, because as much as we all hate it, that's where the people are.
Still king.
So yeah, I'm still there. It's a weird spelling, Carey. So Carey, got to spell it out just in case. Wedler, Wedler. I'm trying to think of where else I am. I think I'm writing for Fee occasionally now. I'm editing mostly, but I have some articles there, and they have a lot of great content spanning decades and decades and decades. It's awesome to, especially like to go back and see the articles they were writing like at, 50, 40 years ago and see how correct they were and how correct they still are. It's really, it's just fun. So just check out Fee. Aside from me, check out fee.org, and also the Anti-Media and the Mind Unleashed as well. They're a giant page. They survived the purge. Fingers crossed. And our founder, Nick Burnaby from Anti-Media, is now editor-in-chief there. They were doing great content before, but if you're wondering where the Anti-Media team has gone, our founder, who's incredibly brilliant, his name's Nick Burnaby. He's on Facebook as well, but he's working at the Mind Unleashed now, and there's a lot of great people writing there as well. So I know I'm not talking about my platforms anymore, but just, things to check out, and awesome people doing great work. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you have a great voice for it. And I'm sure Fee is actually a really, they're legit and they've been around for a while. And being somebody that, unfortunately, Anti-Media was really deplatformed, but alternative media, sources that you can trust, that have a legitimate, like a long-term history of giving out good stories, I think that's definitely important. Because the mainstream media is actually the largest conspiracy in the world. But anyway, I won't go into that. I'm going to ask you one more pick your poison.
Oh,
and
no.
then I'm going to do my closing. Yes.
Okay, let's go. I'm ready.
Right. Are you ready, Carey? Okay.
I'm ready.
Oh, shit.
Oh, no.
Okay. Carey Wedler, pick your poison. Would you rather have the wrinkles of a 100-year-old or be unable to wear clothes that cover your belly button?
Be unable to wear clothes that cover your belly button, so I always have to have my belly button out? Well,
that's hard.
I'm from LA. I'm actually making a video that I'm going to be talking about something called toxic femininity. But part of my toxic femininity is, I'm excited. So I'm in the process of filming now. I actually grew up when I was like 21. I developed a phobia of wrinkles because I'm like from LA, and like if there's any superficial city in the world, that was my thing. That was like my body dysmorphia. It's like, and it's not about the physicality. It's a much more deeper psychological thing. But because of that, I'm just going to have to show my belly button all the time because I'm not going for the wrinkles of a 100-year-old. Long story short. That was a long-winded explanation, but that is the explanation.
Girl, I'm from Northeast Ohio, and I'm showing that belly button all day long. I will never do that. So to all my Facebook lovelies and to everybody listening to Ginger Archie on whatever platform, all 15 of you, because I get way more on Facebook. I want to say thank you to my guest, Carey Wedler. I'll put it in the show notes when it goes on the show. I'll drop it in the comments on Facebook. Really cool Liberty chick. I know I got a lot of messages about you. A lot of people love you and follow you. So keep doing what you're doing. And I will close. Oh, I will. Without any wrinkles and with belly button. No.
Yeah, both.
So I will close the show saying what I say every time. Good night, my lovelies. Grace and peace to you, and fuck the state.